Hey guys, it's Shell the Spiritual Warrior, and we are still discussing observing the mind. But today we're talking about overthinking, something I'm very familiar with. Overthinking is, I'm sure, something a lot of people are familiar with, right? You lock in on one topic and you think it to death. You think about it from this angle, that angle. You think about it when you're brushing your teeth, when you're on your way to work, when you're coming home from work, while you're at work, while you're interacting with other people. You are constantly thinking about this thing, always, right? But the one thing you're not doing that actually gets rid of the thought is acting. Thinking doesn't do anything. I think we discussed that in the last series. Thinking doesn't really do anything. Thinking is important, but it doesn't take a long time to think before you act. Action is really the thing that creates change. Thinking doesn't create change. Just doesn't. You just think something to death. And in my experience, thinking about something for an extended period of time has not brought me to a better solution than I thought of when I first started thinking about it. It just never has. I've never hit on a better thought. I've never hit on a more effective thought. Usually in the time that I think about it, I already have thought about it and come up with a solution or something that I should do about it, even if it's one step, even if it doesn't fix the whole problem. And I think that's also where we get stuck, right? Because we may come up with at least one thing to act upon that will lead us in the right direction. But we think that if we continue to think, then we'll come up with the entire answer. And sometimes that's just not the reality. Sometimes the only thing that was supposed to come to you was the next best thing to do. It may not solve the whole problem, but it puts you in the direction of solving the problem instead of staying in your head about the problem. If you're in your head and the only thing you're coming up with is the problem, you're overthinking. You're just overthinking it. And another thing that I noticed, so my second observation about overthinking, is the fact that I felt like when I overthought things, it meant that it was really important to me, right? If it was really, really important, I couldn't just make a decision. No. You can't just make a decision if it's really, really important. You have to make sure that the decision that you are making is the best decision. So you overthink it, right? You keep toiling with it. You still never act. But I realized that I was only overthinking because I thought if I overthought, well, no, I didn't even think this. It's a observation that I realized later, or an aha moment if you are an Oprah fan, which I am. So the overthinking part of it, I thought that if I overthought, that means that I cared about it more. I thought that if I wasn't thinking about it all the time, then how much could I really care? Because I was letting it drift from my mind. So I held it right at here. And that still wasn't action, and it still didn't solve anything. But I know that other people do this. I do it. I've seen other people do it. And it ultimately doesn't really get you anywhere. All it gets you is further stressed out, because the real issue is that you have a problem that's not being solved. And you're consistently thinking about this problem. You're bringing it to the forefront of your head. You feel like it should be there because it's really important, when in fact, leaving it there only stresses you out. It only creates anxiety around the situation. It only pushes it actually further from you. The more that you think about something and the more feelings that you attach to it, that's the other part. Typically, you don't overthink things that aren't problems. I mean, it's not, you're really only overthinking it because there is a feeling of a problem being in there somewhere. Or at least you foresee there being a problem, even if it's something positive. So the overthinking aspect of it It doesn't really make sense. I swore I lost my train of thought, but I still think that I'm making sense. So I'm gonna just keep it pushing. But the overthinking, it pushes you. Yes, there we go. It pushes you further away. It pushes you further away from your solution. You're stuck on a problem. Not only are you stuck on a problem, but now you're creating negative feelings around even just the thought of the problem. Life can be a revealing process. And what you're required to do is just do the next right thing. And you gotta, in order to begin to solve anything, you gotta move and do the right next thing. So that's my piece on overthinking. I hope that was helpful. I hope that you guys can see yourself in that, in the process of overthinking, and kind of notice when you are stuck on a thought, and also notice when you've been toiling with a thought for a very long time and realize that you really have not put any action toward fixing anything, or whether it be, and I mean, it can be any problem. It can be relationship problems, it could be money problems, it could be family problems, it could be friend problems. I mean, the list of problem possibilities go on. But the fact still remains, if you are just overthinking the problem, it's not gonna bring a solution, and it's not gonna change the problem, because all you did was think. And thought is not action. So in order to properly solve it, from my experience, so just do the next right thing. Break up those negative feelings about it. Break up the negative feelings of, oh my gosh, you know, if this thing comes to fruition, then it's going to be an issue, or just break up the overthinking and do something. Acting will at least get you out of that lock of overthinking. So like I said, I hope it was helpful. I know I just said I hope it was helpful before and then add a little more, so I hope the little more that I added maybe was even further helpful. But either way, keep growing, keep digging up the tough stuff, keep being willing to be vulnerable, because when you're vulnerable, it gives you the opportunity to grow, and without growth, there's only death. So keep growing, keep fighting. I love you. Peace.